Alright, so in this lecture we are going to do one more practice question of material variances, and then we will switch to and then we'll move to labor variances. Alright, so in this question the question is a bit different. I mean, the way we discussed or the question was given in the previous example was quite in an easier format, right? In this question there are two figures given. Budget is given and the actual figure is given, right? And you are supposed to calculate material price variance, usage variance, and total material variance, right? So if you recall the formula of material price variance, it was the difference between standard price of raw material minus actual price of raw material into actual quantity used. So the problem is that in this question, standard price is not given in the question, right? I mean, directly we cannot identify what is the standard price, what is the actual price. Both are not given in the question. What is given in the question is the budgeted and actual production, budgeted and actual consumption, and budgeted and actual material cost, right? So if someone asks me to calculate the standard price, obviously we will calculate the standard price from budget, right? Because if we use the actual data, we will get the actual price, right? So standard material budgeted material cost is 4,50,000, right? So if you want to calculate the price is usually per kilogram, per liter, per meter. So for the calculation of a standard price, we will divide 4,50,000, which is the budgeted cost, with just pause this video and think whether we should divide 450,000 with 50,000 or 10,000, right? 50,000 or 10,000, which one we should use in the calculation of standard price. All right, so since we want to calculate price per kilogram, right, so we should use 50,000 kilograms. So 450,000 divided by 50,000, this will give you around $9 per kilogram. So the standard price is around $9 per kilogram. $9 per kilogram. And what is the actual price? For the actual price, for the calculation of actual price, we will consider the actual data. So actual data says that the actual price means we have to divide 386,400 with 42,000. Let's see what we get. 386,400 divided by 42,000. No, I think I did wrong. 386,400 divided by 42,000. 9.2. This means that we bought material at higher prices. So obviously this is an adverse variance again. Multiply by actual consumption. Actual consumption is 42,000. So minus 9 multiply by 42,000. This is 8,400 adverse, right? So this is basically material price variance. So this means that just because of the reason that you bought expensive raw material, the overall damage is $8,400, right? Now let's calculate material usage variance. Now there is a very common mistake here which students usually do, and when I'm saying the students do, it means that I'm talking about the majority students, right? For the calculation of material usage variance, we have to consider standard quantity allowed for actual production minus actual quantity used into standard price, right? So standard quantity allowed for actual production means that how many kilograms the company should, how many kilograms are allowed for the manufacturing of the actual production, right? So what the students do is they somehow think that usage variance is the difference between budget and the actual. We are not comparing budget and the actual because budgeted consumption is for 10,000 units, We haven't produced 10,000 units, we produced 8,000 units. So obviously the consumption should have been lower as compared with 50,000. So um, 8,000 multiplied by, now we don't know what is the standard consumption of raw material. So for the calculation of standard consumption of raw material, what we have to do is, see, consumption is usually denoted by, let's suppose, 2 kilograms per unit or 5 kilograms per unit or 10 meters per unit. This is the way of representing the consumption. So if you want to calculate the consumption, you have to divide 50,000, because we were expecting that 50,000 units kilograms will be used for the manufacturing of 10,000 units of the product. That means 5 kilograms per unit, right? So ideally consumption is 5, so 8 fives are 40,000, right? So we were expecting 40,000 consumption, but the actual consumption was quite higher, 42,000. So this means what? This means that the consumption was higher. That means the variance is adverse. Multiply by the standard price. Standard price we already know, it's $9 per kilogram. So 9 times 2 is 18,000 adverse, right? So if someone says that calculate the total material variance, total material variance will be 8,400 adverse plus 18,000 adverse, 8,400 adverse plus 18,000 adverse is 26,400 adverse. This means that the actual cost was 26,400 higher than the expected cost or the standard cost. And if you want to calculate directly total material variance directly, how you can do that? Just simply calculate the standard material cost, right? Standard material cost of actual production, right? So actual production was around 8,000 units, right? And what is the cost of 1 unit of the product? See, we were expecting that company will manufacture 10,000 units and the material cost will be around 4,50,000. So 450,000 divided by 10,000, this means that we were expecting that 1 unit will require $45 of raw material. So 45 times 8,000 is 3,60,000. So ideally cost should have been 3,60,000, but what is the actual cost of raw material? Actual cost of raw material is 386,400. So this means that the actual cost is 26,400 more compared with the expectations or the standard. So this is total material variance, and this is exactly the same figure what we have calculated for, right? So this is another example of the calculation of material variances. In the next lecture, when we will discuss in the physical class, we will see that this usage variance. Now we know that material variance is divided into two parts: material price variance and material usage variance, right? In the class we will discuss that usage variance is divided into mix variance and yield variance. Now what are these two variances we will discuss in our class, in our session, right? So thank you for watching this video. In the next lecture we will start with labor variances. All right, till then, take care. Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.